is you will seek your own temperature. So if you're a natural 70-degree person, sooner or later, you're going to go back to 70 degrees. And if you're a natural 90-degree person, you're going to do everything it takes to maintain that 90 degrees. So,
hey, Candy. Well, hi, Terry Bush. How are you tonight?
what's going on, guys? Hopefully you had a great week. We're going to get started here real quick since we've already been pausing for like 20 minutes. And yeah, getting dark.
We thought it was going to be a great idea to sit outside, and it's like, oh yeah, it's September and it starts getting dark quicker.
Yeah, but at least it's cooler than it was the last couple of weeks. So tonight we are going to talk about how to set your thermostat in your marriage.
Yeah.
So that ought to be fun.
Yeah.
So
very scientific.
Very scientific. Yeah, we're a lot of things, but that's not one of them. So, your thermostat is what actually tells you the temperature of something. It regulates. It doesn't tell you the temperature. It regulates the temperature.
Your thermometer tells you the temperature.
Your thermometer tells you the temperature. So, when we first get together, it's like our thermostats are set on like 90 degrees all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's so hot.
Like both of you are just like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah, it's cool.
Hey, Sean.
So, but then it seems like after a little while, those things start to change, and the reason for that is you will seek your own temperature. So if you're a natural 70-degree person, sooner or later, you're going to go back to 70 degrees. If you're a natural 90-degree person, you're going to do everything it takes to maintain that 90 degrees. So that's what that is all about. And how you can kind of see that in marriage is like one of you may be extremely flirty. That was me. Anything it took. Anyway, one of you may be extremely flirty. The other one may not be flirty at all. Again, this one will be me. One of you may have an extreme high sex drive, and the other one none at all.
This is all about you tonight.
This is the life and times of Grant. That's what this one's going to be about tonight. So when you first get together, it's natural for the one with the cooler temperature to automatically pull towards the one with the warmer temperature.
Yeah.
But that's not going to stay that way.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And that's what a lot of times after that 2-year mark of marriage, when all of a sudden you wonder, where did all the excitement go? Where did all the fire go? Why is everything just so average? And it's because it's kind of a law. You are who you are, and without doing a lot of work on yourself and some personal growth and awareness, you're just going to go back to that level that you were pre-dating. Because face it, life isn't exciting every day, and neither is marriage. So we do have a false fairy tale, I think, in that area.
And at the best case scenario, normally, is you will kind of blend that together. Yeah. So the 70 and the 90 will become an 80-degree thermostat.
Yeah.
But that in marriage tends to be a little less true, because as you get in the routine of being married, being married, the thermostat starts to come down, even for the guy or the gal that's the hottest in the relationship. And so as that comes down, so instead of being a 90, all of a sudden you become a little fatter, lazier, and not willing to pursue. You become 70. Well, when the other one is automatically the 70 and they become 50, all of a sudden you realize marriage is pretty cool all the time. Very
cool.
Very little warmth. So it's very important that we kind of learn that we don't have to be that way.
Right, and that's what it is. This isn't a thing where, it's a critical thing where we're saying that if you're a 70-degree, if your marriage is just kind of, that there's something wrong with you. It's just awareness.
It's called being human.
It's called being human, absolutely. And so the whole point of personal growth in marriage, in your spiritual walk, in parenting, in your career, anything, we all know that everything worthwhile is an uphill climb.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to be scared of that. We need to embrace that because, we are created to create and produce better, and change is a product of creativity. So instead of of being afraid of change, instead of saying, oh, now I have to get off the couch and do something to improve my life. Think about that as being a product of the fact that you're a creative being, and that's just part of how God made you, and you should embrace that.
Right.
Not be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to try to change that temperature setting in your marriage and in your personal life, because in the end, it's going to be better for you. It's going to produce vitality and value to your family, and then into your community, and then into your workplace. And that's how we facilitate change, one temperature setting at a time.
One temperature setting at a time, kind of like eating an elephant.
Ugh, yeah. Yeah.
But no, and it's so important, because it is so easy for us to fall in, and we've talked about this in other videos as well, that we adopt the "that's just me" mentality, and we've all done it. As you get older, you get to thinking that that's just who I am, that's just what I have to be, and we all know that if we will continue to eat right, exercise, stuff like that, that we can maintain a higher I want to say libido, but that ain't really
just
what I'm
vitality.
looking for. But vitality,
I mean,
that's
everything in life just stays vital and
yeah,
good.
so it's
and you become a better version of yourself. I think that's the whole point of what we're talking about here, is that, you know, it's empowering to become aware and begin to be in a place where you want to become a better version of you. Yes, that's how you are, but you can be a better version of that. You don't have to just, once you get to be an adult, you quit getting better. I mean, as kids, we want our kids, we're always pushing our kids, and we're in a good way, empowering our kids to grow, be stronger, be smarter, make good grades in school, all those things. And then all of a sudden, once that's done, we just kind of coast as an adult. And really, we're in the prime of our life now to do that, because we have some of the childhood stuff behind us. We have a maturity level that we can really begin to assess who we are, not judge, but assess who we are.
You know, it reminds me, it wasn't too long ago that we were having a discussion, and we're talking about, you know, the majority of the people we hang around with is quite a bit younger than us. And it's because I just can't stand the mentality of people that's getting to be our age. It's just like they're so happy with just, you know, we're 53, so I mean, we're 12 years away from retirement. And, you know, my God, why are we looking forward to death so much? You know, so it's really been helpful for us, you know, and I think you always need someone a little, you know, 10 years farther down the road than you are. And when you need someone that's 10 to 15 years behind us.
And that helps us to see what that temperature could be, what that thermostat could be set at. That's the point of that, is that, you know, don't just be okay with the status quo.
Yeah, never.
Absolutely don't be okay with that. So I think that, you know, as we've been talking about this, we were discussing what were some things that we feel like we have attributed to being able to adjust our thermostat to where it is at a higher level automatically. And again, it's a pretty simple concept. We all have houses that have climate control, right? So we're not using a thermometer. We're not going around with a thermometer unless you're doing a COVID test, but we're not doing a thermometer to see what our thermostat should be. The thermometer tells us what the temperature is right now. It cannot change anything. And I think that's what happens with our emotions. We are emotional creatures, and God made us that way. But our emotions, we've talked about this in previous pillow talks, where they show us where we're at. That's probably bad English, but they show us the state that we're in, the temperature that we're currently in. And what we need to understand is that doesn't produce change. That just gives us a notification. So we want to actually do some things in our marriage that will change the thermostat so that it will become a regulator on a regular basis of what we want. So I think there's 7 things that we've discussed that we think might help you guys. So if you have a pen and paper, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. But I feel like there's 7 things that would help you. Number 1, I think as a married couple, the first thing you need to do is to sit down and take some time together and create a picture of what is it that you want.
I'd say do that individually and then come together.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you can see the 2 pieces of that. But find a picture of that, because, you know, we're created by God to have picture association, you know, and God, the word says that God said and then he saw. Okay, so I don't think there's anything different. He created us in his image. So when you have a picture of something that you come to an agreement on, that this is an area that I want to set a higher temperature, and I want to focus on this so that it becomes automatic, it adjusts, it's self-regulating, okay, to an extent. So that's really important. And then number 2, I think then you have to create a new demand for that.
Yeah, and that's what
what a thermostat does, right?
Yeah,
you're the.
You say, you know, like this time of year, up until this time of year, it's always been the demand we wanted to bring it down.
Yeah.
But you were like, man, it's 78 degrees in this house. So you put a demand on your thermostat to bring you down to 70, 71. Some of us 67. You know, I mean, that's what it is at my job. It's like we freeze
That's
there
where
every
Park
day.
is, yeah.
I work coach year round.
But put a demand on that thermostat to regulate a very specific thing. So you have to be specific with that. To put a demand on something, you have to be specific. And then make better choices, right?
Absolutely. You know, you got to make a choice and manage that choice. And
that's the hard part too.
Absolutely. You know, it's so easy just to fall into the same old routine. And I mean, and I've got my routines. In no way are we saying we've got this figured out. We click all the time. But, you know, I mean, if that routine's not working, find another routine. You know, create something.
It's not serving you well, it needs to change.
Absolutely.
And you're probably going to find this isn't going to be like a giant laundry list of things. You know, we're giving you 7 ways that you can help maybe identify these things in your life, but you're not going to have a laundry list more than likely. As you grow in this and get better at this, things will come along and you'll be able to tweak all the time. But as we make those better choices, that's going to help us to focus on that demand that we're putting because of that picture that we've created. And then I think number 4, this kind of goes into that intentional thinking in that area that we want our marriage to go towards, because we are created to have a picture of something, and our brains are wired with a reticular activator. This is science, guys, that when you begin to put something in front of your brain, it seeks to find that. That is God and science.
Right.
And so
I mean,
it works in your marriage.
And that's the whole deal of, you know, you buy a car and it's a certain color. All of a sudden you find that exact car everywhere you go. And the reason you bought it was because you'd never seen one before.
Right.
But all of a sudden there's one in every parking lot after that. And, you know, honestly, that's why it's so important to set your thermostat high. Thermostat high. You can't set a thermometer. But it's important to do that in your marriage, because something will adjust your thermostat if you don't make it your spouse.
That's good.
And that's when danger starts to set in.
Something else will raise your heat. You want that to be your spouse in your relationship and that.
Absolutely.
So, and then I think this is something we talk about. Sometimes you got to recharge the unit.
That sounds dirty.
It does sound dirty, doesn't it? That was
sometimes
in
you
your
got to do.
But you think about, okay, like a, you know, this time of the year you have your heater checked, or in the summertime you're having your air conditioning checked, and sometimes your thermostat is set right. You might hit a season in your marriage where you've been working on this, and you're like, well, gosh, guys, you know, we were hot in this area, and we know we follow these principles that you're talking about, but right now it's like we just can't get that temperature up to stay there. We're always having to constantly push for that. It could just be that you need to recharge. And that can be, sometimes that's seasonal. Sometimes it's a seasonal thing.
Right.
You have to understand what you're going through as a couple, as individuals, and be patient with that. Talk that out. Again, that's what pillow talk is. It's intention. It's unguarded conversations about things that you can be transparent and authentic about. And sometimes it's just like, hey, right now, babe, I'm in a season where I just can't push that hard right now.
Well, you know, at our age, we're getting to the point to where we start seeing family members get old, and you know, it requires a high demand either to take care of them or to walk them through their final steps. And you know, we knew that all too well over the last couple of years. And so it's very important that, you know, that she knew, like this case is my mother that passed. It's very important that she knew the season. It wasn't nothing against her. It wasn't, you know, that I didn't find her attractive anymore, or that I didn't enjoy just hanging out. It was, I just didn't enjoy.
Yeah. And then there came a point where we had to recharge that. When that season was
right.
passed, we did have to go in. This is my point, is to be intentional about recharging that. Just because it slips away and just because you get to a certain age when things change and you notice a change, it doesn't mean you have to stay there. It just means that you recognize that season, but then you recharge that. And then that's going to take investing some time.
And seasons come and go. So that means they need to go pretty soon. Okay, let's don't get into a bad spot and stay there.
And so then, you know, investing your time.
Absolutely.
I think is huge. And I think a lot of us think we do that. And this is another thing, we get used to that flow of doing the same thing, and we do invest the time. We take the yearly vacation, we do the date night, but because it becomes, maybe you've got your temperature set there now, but now you need to take it up another notch. Okay. Right. That's the beauty of marriage. You get to do this with this person that God gave you, who is infinitely different than you, infinitely created to change, not to be changed. But you get a lifetime of that. So I think that is, if you look at it that way, instead of like, here we go again. No, here we get to go again. We get to now take it up another notch.
That's right. And I love the fact it's invest the time.
Yeah.
Because too often after you're married for a little while, you start to spend time together.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's
and
good.
spending time has no return. Investment
Yeah.
has return.
Yeah.
And spending doesn't. It's all pouring out. And for too long, if you just pour, you end up with nothing. You end up poor.
You end up marriage poor. You
absolutely.
Do. So the 7 things again that can help you to evaluate and to adjust that thermostat in your marriage are to create that picture of what you want that to look like, whether it's the first time or whether it's recharging. Number 2, create a demand. Understand what that demand is. Write it down. It's not, you don't just say, hey, I think I want to do X, Y, and Z, but then the demand is where you actually write out, what does that look like? What are the steps we as a couple have to take? Not
that's Bible.
That's biblical. Write the steps, write the vision so you can run with it. So make the demand, then make better choices. So what you manage for in that demand is what you're going to be able to see happen. So you got to make choices to manage for that and manage against other things that would come in to try to separate that demand from your marriage. And then have intentional thoughts towards that. Be very intentional. When you catch yourself having those thoughts that are pulling you back down to 70 degrees, have some things written out that give you intentional thought that you can think about, because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So that's huge. And then recharge that unit if you need to. Understand that seasons can affect this. Be seasonally aware, and then invest your time into your thermostat. Okay, and I think you're going to see a lot of good results from that.
Absolutely. And the most important thing after you do all that is the fact that you are communicating during that whole process. And remember, through communication, you can stop frustration. And there's nothing more frustrating than a cold marriage.
Oh, yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to turn that thermostat up, and you're going to start that off by having the tough conversations.
Yeah. And that can be tough. They can be tough.
We watch a lot of marital stuff, and, they talk about things that, it's not comfortable to talk about. And one of the things is, like if you're not enjoying things in the bedroom, it is not your spouse's job to figure it out. It's your job to tell your spouse what you enjoy and what you don't.
And there's the seasonal thing again.
Absolutely.
There's a seasonal thing again. You know.
It takes tough conversations to do this right. So with that, we have used up our time.
Already.
We want to thank you all.
Hey, Denise. Good to see you. Oh, my goodness.
We appreciate you jumping in. But we want to just invite you back next week. If you enjoy this, would you share it? Get it out there. We want to help as many marriages as we can. We have a dream of us with another couple. We talked about the Gormans of reaching 1 million marriages.
Yeah.
And
it's passion for us.
We are going to do it, but we need your help. So hit that share button and start watch parties, do all that fun stuff. And
if you've got questions and comments, be sure to leave us down there so that we can connect with us if you need to. Private message us.
You can also follow us on Instagram. You can go to our website, foreverwithpurpose.com, and there's a link right there. You could it'll just connect you where you'll send us an email if you had anything you would not like to talk about here, but you would still like to reach out to us. So we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great evening, and we just pray that your marriage is always blessed.
Amen.